Good morning and welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walz and I am your host, and I have a really awesome guest on today. His name is Doug Walz with a Z. Doug, welcome
Hey,
to
Ken.
the show, man.
Good to see you today.
With a Z. I had to point that out. You know that.
You're going to have to.
Dude, I told you.
I don't know how you got yours misspelled.
What's that?
I don't know how you got yours misspelled.
I know. You know what's crazy is my younger brother's name is Doug
Oh, yeah.
Walz, spelled the right way.
Uh-huh. I got you.
So, dude, I apologize to everybody. I'm having a technical issue with my camera. It's just acting crazy today, wanting to make my face all red. I don't get it. Let me adjust the color a little bit, but I told you I created this, and Nazira Jamal is on. Hey, Nazira. I created this to help people. That's what I created the show for, is to help people get unstuck. We all go through crap in life. We get stuck. We don't know how to get through it, yada, yada, yada. And I think that by hearing other people's stories, we heal. We learn how to get unstuck. So I'm excited to hear your whole story. And let's start with where you were born and raised, Doug.
I was born in Cincinnati. Spent quite a few formidable years in Akron, Ohio. And then in 79, moved down to Sebring, Florida.
In 79, wow.
Yeah.
So you were still in grade school.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know how old you are. I have no idea, actually.
We're the same age.
Oh, are we?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you moved to Sebring, Florida, and you told me that. We were talking yesterday. I said, dude, I need to Google this. I have no idea where Sebring is. You're literally right in the middle of the state. Like way down there right in the middle. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
So I didn't realize, did I know you were from Ohio? Did you tell me that?
I don't know if we, maybe that first call that when we first met, we may have briefly spoke about it.
I don't recall that. Wow. So Cincinnati and Akron, Ohio, and then you end up in Florida. That's a big jump. It's a huge jump.
Yeah.
So what was it like for you growing up, man? I mean, let's see, in 79, you were 11 years old?
About that, yeah.
And so what was that like? I mean, you had to have had friends in Ohio, and then you just up and move.
Yeah, but for some reason, I think I was up for the adventure. And of course, it was in my head at that point, we're going to Florida. So
yeah,
how bad can that be?
Right.
And, but it's been great. I love the state, love the community that we're in. It's been a fantastic place to grow up. I really, and irregardless as to where I think our age group grew up, it was such a different way of growing up back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s that I really feel bad for our kids and our grandkids not being able to have some of those really cool experiences.
I mean, like staying out until dark and when the street lights came on and you had to get home on your bicycle and yeah, man, I remember those days. So and leaving your front door unlocked all night. I remember that.
Sure.
Like, you don't do that now.
No.
You could even leave your car unlocked and nobody would break into it. And so you ended up in Sebring, Florida, which, by the way, is not really that close to any beach in Florida. I mean, it's closer than I am, but it's in the middle of the state.
Well, it's great because we can pick which coast we want to go to.
Right. That's true. Yeah. And you're not, so it's like right across not right across. It's up from Miami. You're kind of right directly across from what, Cocoa Beach. And
yeah, so we're 3 hours north of Miami, about an hour and a half, 2 hours southwest of Orlando, and about 2 hours east of Tampa.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you what was it like, man? At 11 years old, you're now living in Florida. That means you're a Florida rock star, right? At 11.
Yeah. Yeah. So we moved down here. My dad had the opportunity to open a Wendy's franchise. And so I kind of got thrown into that first summer that we were here. He had me working on a construction site, picking up garbage in a bucket.
Wow.
And it was, I had not acclimated to Florida summers at that point. I was still an Ohio boy.
Yeah.
So by the time I got to the other side of the building and he couldn't see me, I scooted over to the gas station that was next door to us because they had air conditioning and cold water, and would hang out with them until he found me. I had a great time. I mean, it was, it was neat. It was neat growing up that way. Everybody had their, individual ways of growing up. It was a really cool experience. And being involved, being that young, but having your parents as your boss or the owners of that franchise, they were able to put us to work in there as kids, where I normally wouldn't have been able to work in a business like that. That was a franchise business as early as that. But we got my sister and I got some really good experiences that way.
So you were and you say the construction site, like at the Wendy's restaurant that your dad was building?
Yeah.
Wow. And did you grow up working at that Wendy's?
Yeah, I did actually. So as soon as that store opened, all I could still do once the store was open is take out the garbage, sweep the floors, wipe stuff down, do the little cleaning projects like that, which, as much as I didn't like it, I thought it was a much better deal because he dressed my sister up like Wendy, and she had to be in that costume all the time. And
yikes,
that wasn't going to happen.
So, and I actually worked at a Wendy's when I was 16, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I remember they have the Wendy's training handbook, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that they say, I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's something like, you never say, is that all, when you're taking somebody's order.
Yep.
Would you care to add anything else to your order? I think yeah, something like that. And they never get it right at the Wendy's today. Never. And it drives me crazy. Like, I'll hear him say, is that all?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'll literally go, well, did you want me to order something else? Like, did you not read the freaking handbook?
No, they don't. I don't think they do.
No, they don't, man. They don't. It's crazy.
I don't think they know where to find it.
It used to drive me crazy. Do you want to tell everybody how they make the chili? I should.
With love and care and kindness.
Right.
And lovely spices.
Exactly. We both know, don't we?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Oh, it's not bad. It's not bad.
It's not.
No.
It's not.
Just, the meat might be a little bit overcooked. but anyway.
It's nice and lean.
I know.
Nice and lean.
That's right. So you grew up, and what did your dad do prior to that here in Ohio?
So he so I'm gonna say he worked at Ohio Food Systems, which was another Wendy's franchise, but the longer, more interesting story of that was he actually grew up with Dave Thomas.
Oh, wow.
Fort Wayne. My grandfather owned a restaurant called the Hobby Ranch House, and with two other partners. Dave was an employee, worked up as a manager. My grandmother on my mom's side was a waitress there. My mom eventually worked in that restaurant also, and that's where my parents met. They had known Dave for many years, obviously, and worked well with him. And
for people that don't know who Dave Thomas is the founder of Wendy's International.
Yes. So
right.
I mean, that's the introduction into Wendy's. I mean, there's a lot of interesting side stories in there, but that's eventually he was offered an early position in Wendy's as it was getting started, and they declined at that point.
Wow.
A few years later, they ended up getting back into the restaurant business and working. Akron was the area that we ended up moving to, and working with that particular franchisee who the two brothers were the attorneys that Mr. Thomas had hired to write the original franchise agreements.
Wow.
And so it was pretty interesting. Nice, interesting way to grow up. And
sure.
I got to go to, weekends. Dad had put me in the car and we'd go around and look at all the new stores that he had built. He was in charge of building the stores at that point. By the time we left Akron, he had built over 100 Wendy's and Arthur Treacher's stores
wow.
through the Ohio area, and got a offer to open our own franchise in 3 different areas, and we ended up landing in Sebring, Florida, and that's how we ended up moving down here.
Wow. It's interesting because that franchise system, you're guaranteed success pretty much if you buy a Wendy's franchise. Not guaranteed, but
no, you have a better than higher than better odds of success.
Yes. Yeah.
If you plug yourself into any system that's been systematized, proven out, and you follow a proven track record.
Right.
If you go in, and that's why I think franchises are so successful, is because there is a built-out system that the franchise isn't going to survive if it's not a good system to follow. But if you get in there and you don't follow the employee manual, it's going to hurt you in the long run. So you got to follow the systems.
So, and I think there's far too many. Well, we won't get into the weeds on that, but I know there's a lot of franchise owners that try to modify and then they end up suffering as a result. I mean, there's certain things that they put in place for a reason. It's not for control. It's to help you become successful.
Yeah.
So growing up, so at 11 years old, your dad started his own Wendy's store down in Sebring, Florida, or opened his own down there. And so you grew up working in that and going to school. Did you participate in sports and all that, or were you?
Yeah.
Did you?
Played football, track.
Did you end up going to college after high school?
Technically, yes, I did.
Did you in Florida?
I did. Yeah. Yeah, lasted about 6 months there.
Really? Why? Why only 6 months, man?
I was not cut out for college.
Yeah.
I was not the best student.
What was your interest then if it wasn't college?
I just want to get at it. I want to go work.
Yeah.
I don't know, Ken. It's just it wasn't a fit for me, and I don't think it's a fit for everybody. And I think that there were some. Well, I'll give you a really good reason why it probably wasn't a good fit for me. At the end of my senior year, my dad actually ended up selling those stores. So prior to that first day that we were opening up 2 more stores, growing up in those stores. I was a manager of the stores while running a management shift during high school. That's what I thought my, eventual future was going to be. That's where what I was identifying moving into. And
so you were going to be a Wendy's manager.
Yeah, I was going to be a franchisee, just like my dad. That's what I was aspiring to do and be, and so that no longer was the path kind of laid out for me. So I get to college and and I think that's, we hear a lot of conversations or stories about kids getting to college, not really having a focus, not knowing what they wanted to do. And I can really identify with that, because I thought I had a focus. I knew exactly what I was going to do. I knew the path I was going to take. And all of a sudden that trajectory got changed on me. And yeah, I mean, I probably floundered for many years, not really knowing exactly where to plug in and what the trajectory was going to be.
So why did your dad, did he ever say why he sold them?
It was the right thing to do at the right time with the right offer.
Oh, was it? Yeah. So you went to college for 6 months, realized that that wasn't for you, and what happened next?
Came home and we were under construction with a commercial project at that point, and I just got up one morning and went down to the job site, talked to the foreman, and said, "What do you want me to do? I need to do something." So started working with the concrete crew and construction there. Ended up when that shopping center was done, opened up a ice cream franchise that I had been introduced to down in South Florida, where I went to college, and which was great, because that's where I met my wife. Wow.
So, like Dairy Queen?
No, it's called the Ice Cream Club.
Okay.
Yeah, and
you opened your own?
Yeah, when I was 19.
Wow, man. So you wow, that's okay. So you started your first business at 19 years old.
Yep.
That's impressive. How did that go?
Not well. I was 19. I mean,
right.
It went well because one, I knew the customer service side of it. I don't know that I certainly didn't have the level of maturity to run the store the way it should have been run. It served its ultimate purpose because, like I said, that's where I met my wife, and
right.
If that's all I ever got out of that store, that's all I'd ever need.
And that's back when David Lee Roth had that song out, "Ice Cream Man." I'm your ice cream man, or something.
Yeah,
was that your favorite jam?
Uh-huh.
Was that your jam? Were you like bumping that the whole time?
No, I'm not going to even go into the music that we had there. It was just, it was a lot of, we had a lot of fun. And I've actually heard back from some of the kids that worked there as my employees, and they were, I mean, great. It was their first jobs that they had, and we always had a great time there. It was a fun place to work, and I mean, for myself and others, I think we all had a great time. But turns out that I ended up making more when I sold that store. I sold the franchise to somebody, and they found out that they didn't like it, and they turned it back over to me.
Oh,
and every time I sold it, I would hold a note on the business. Sold it 5 times.
Oh my gosh!
Made more money trying to sell that thing than I ever did selling ice cream.
Oh my god! Wow. So you eventually sold it for good.
Yeah.
Wow. And then, so how old were you as like 21, 20, 25? How long?
Yeah, I mean, that was 22, I think, because we were in the selling process, in the midst of the selling process, when my wife and I got back from our honeymoon. Was the second time it got handed back to me.
Wow.
Thinking I was going to go in one direction, and realized now I'm back in the ice cream business again.
Wow.
But yeah, at that point we had a construction company had emerged out of that building process of that commercial deal, and got into drafting. So I've had since my early 20s a construction background, and we also had a outdoor advertising company at that point. Started building that, had about 140 billboards throughout Central Florida. Sold those in '96, and it's been very interesting, an eclectic entrepreneurial lifestyle, I guess. From construction, ice cream, to billboards, politics, to mobile devices and whatnot.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about what you're doing now. I know that you've done a lot of things leading up to where you are now. Like what industry are you in now?
So the two things that we do right now, we still have our construction company.
Okay.
And
is it commercial?
Yeah. So we do residential and commercial.
Oh, okay.
A lot of the commercial side is remodeling. We work with a lot of medical facilities, hospitals here, doing rehabs and remodels. As you know, 2 years ago, we had over 2 years now, Hurricane Irma came through.
Right.
So we had about 40 jobs dropped in our lap as soon as that week the phone came on, and we still have 2 jobs on the books that are hurricane related.
Wow.
So construction's been very busy, and yes, it's commercial and residential. We do a lot of new construction on the residential side.
From the ground up.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then on the marketing side, we have, and actually was kind of birthed out of some projects that I had with the billboards. We have started a company called Text Me Leads, where we work with speakers, authors, podcasters on capturing new leads, delivering products to an audience, and basically turning every cell phone in that audience into a lead capture device.
Wow. How's that work?
Simply, you get a speaker on stage, and they tell everybody, go ahead and take out your phones. And in the process of doing that, you give them a text message and to lead them to that call to action, and the automatic text is sent back to them with a link. We give a deliverable page that. So let me give you an example. You've been in a seminar somewhere, and the speaker from the stage is got really, really good content.
Right.
A hand goes up in the audience. Hey, Mr. Speaker, how can we get a copy of your slide deck?
Mm-hmm.
Well, can Joan in the back there, my assistant, can we get an email sent out on Monday, or can you have that posted to the website? And if it's not thought through, they completely lose the opportunity to connect with that person in the audience, because when you see that one hand go up, there's typically 7 or more around that person or in the audience that still want exactly what that person's asking for. They just don't raise their hand and ask. So I started seeing that way too many times. I also saw the you get a graph or a photo or an image on the screen that they were using, and the cameras would come up and they'd start taking pictures of those slides on the screen, and the speaker sees that. They see the iPads, they see the cameras and everything coming up, and it's an absolute trigger for the speaker to say, guys, everyone grab your phones. I know this is good information. Go ahead and text this number to this code, and I'm going to give you the entire slide deck, full resolution. Those photos aren't going to come out perfectly, and that way it's going to allow you to take the notes that you need to take and still be present with me in this presentation. So I was seeing that too often, and it was a problem solution kind of a deal, and we created the solution for it.
So you were attending a lot of conferences, seeing this, and then just a light bulb goes off?
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty incredible, man.
Yeah, because they were answering with the same disconnected response of, I don't know how to do that. And at that point, we were starting to transition out of dropping your business card into a fishbowl at the front of the stage or the back of the room.
Yeah.
And there was just a disconnect at the right time, and we've been working with that ever since.
Wow. Yeah. And remember you'd go into businesses all the time. They'd say, drop your business card in for, yeah. They don't do that anymore.
No, well, some do, some don't. But the digital kiosk that we've been working with on this is basically you could take this on a tablet, and have that mounted right there at the register. And when your client comes up or the customer comes up, they can simply type in their phone number, and that's a digital a way to digitally get them a coupon or to get them to log into a VIP program. And instead of punching the card, the loyalty programs that we have that you've seen around, a lot of people have, this is a digital loyalty program that you can use, and that way it tracks how many times they come in. There's a timestamp on it. You know what time of day they come in.
Wow.
You know what days they don't come in. It's a great way to track exactly when your customer's there and which customer it is, so that when you have a slow day, you can simply run a text message blast out to those that client base and invite them back in and say, if you show this code, your special code, because nobody else is getting it, you show your special code when you come in, you're going to get an extra 10% off. You're going to get a free drink, or whatever they want to offer them.
Well, that's pretty cool, man. So how long ago did you start doing that? And that's a big leap from construction to that. I mean, that's a huge difference.
Well, so I started this 10 years ago. To answer your first question, I started 10 years ago. 10 years ago, construction left me.
Oh.
So I went back into marketing, and this is what we started to develop. And we've those early iterations 10 years ago is what we developed into what we have today.
Ron Goodwin says, "Is this run through IM instant? I guess instant
messenger? No, we actually use your actual text messaging program that's built in. So what we did not want to do is have to have you download a special app for it. We wanted everything to be organically located in your on your phone. Everybody knows how to turn on their text messaging. They know how to send a text message, and they know how to click on a link. So there was nothing else to learn. And what we also found early on, which isn't necessarily the case now, but you still run into it from time to time. Just sending somebody to a website isn't always going to be the best way to do it, because you don't always have full Wi-Fi coverage or cell coverage in an event arena, depending on what size it is or what type of building you're in. But you usually have just enough cell signal to get a text message in and out.
Right.
So it's using that lowest common denominator to make that initial connection, and it sits on their phone. That link sits on their phone, so that whether they can activate it in the meeting, great. If they have to wait until they step outside, it's still there. And then when they load up the page, those pages don't necessarily go away until you click on delete.
So that's like the short code thing, right? Like text the keyword, whatever, to whatever number.
Yes.
Okay. That's pretty cool, man. Wow. You're one of the pioneers in that industry.
It seems like it. It hasn't
been around that long.
Yeah. There have been a lot of them that have come and gone. There's certainly more in the industry now than there were before.
Yeah.
And
wow. That's pretty cool. So, and if somebody wanted to sign up, it looks like there's people that may be interested. So, we'll throw up a website. You can give me a website address, and I'll put it up on the screen. As a matter of fact, I will do that right now. What's the website address?
It's textmeleads.com.
Textmeleads.com.
Yeah, I just sent it to you.
Oh, I'm just typing it in. So textmeleads.com. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So
or just as an example, you could also, from your cell phone, start a new text message and text TML for text me leads to the number 55678.
55678.
Yes.
Oh, there, you just put it up on the screen. I'm going to copy that and create a banner. So, that's pretty cool, man. Like, and you know, it hasn't been around that long at all. So you can text TML to 55678. That's really cool. So you know, this show is about helping people get unstuck. And you know, you said 10 years ago the construction industry left you. Is that what you said? So that had to be a period of time then where it was like, oh, because I remember it, 08, 09, 10, those were some rough years, man.
Yeah.
What happened? It just, the industry crashed, right?
Yeah, it just it basically evaporated over a couple weeks, couple months.
Yeah.
So what happened? It just, Ken, there were so many things that happened at that point.
Yeah.
We were navigating how we're going to, one, are we going to keep the doors open? If we do keep the doors open, based on, you know, keeping our licensing, keeping our insurance in place,
right?
You know, being ready for if and when the economy ever did come back. You know, I'd have, in the midst of doing the mental gymnastics on that, I'd have guys come into my office once a month, once every other month. Hey man, I'm looking for a job. I got no work for you, but I'm a really good carpenter. I'm really good at, just had to move down here to take care of my parents. I understand, but we've got no work. I wouldn't be able to put you on any jobs. There's nothing to do here.
Right.
And, you know, with sunken shoulders and their head down, they just look at me and they're like, you want to buy my tools? And
wow,
there were so many people just at their wits' end at that point. But we got, you know, hindsight's great because we know we got through it. But I think you may recall hearing some of the different talk shows at that point, and we were wondering, are we going to be on a different currency? Are we going to lose, you know, the dollar? Are we going to have to be buying and selling in silver and gold coins again, or are we going to a barter economy? And there were so many things that were up in the air. And I think it's in some ways it's very similar to now, not just in different circumstances. But
right.
I think there's a lot of people that are having to reinvent themselves. And, you know, the angst that I see in some of the business owners that I talk to here locally of, you know, we just put all this money, we put all this time into this particular business. What do we do now? I can't put any time or money into it because there's no reason to do that anymore. So what do I do next? And it's you know, so many people have their identity wrapped up into what they do.
Yeah,
completely guilty of it. Like I told you with you know, the going to college, my identity was wrapped up in what I was going to be doing, and not knowing what that next step was. I didn't have any desire to go through college because there was no reason for it.
Right.
Give me a reason to go through something and I'll do it. I became, when I set a goal to get my contractor's license, I realized I'm actually a really good student. I can study, I can focus, I can get this, I can pass the test. And I think when we have a lack of a reason, when we have a lack of focus, lack of a dream, lack of a purpose, we start to flounder.
Yeah.
And so many people have been upended in the last couple weeks that purpose and direction and focus has, I think, been blurred somewhat. And in that context, in that process of losing that focus, would say we're not all living our best lives right now. In not completely, but in some moments, we're probably not being our best selves.
Right.
But I think when you have the opportunity to have conversations like this, and kind of drop the kimono a little bit and talk about real things. I mean, you had some really, really good conversations. You have some very wise people. If your listeners right now are not listening to some of your evening conversations with the guys, man, they're listening out, missing out on some great wisdom right there.
I have been blessed with having some pretty smart people on.
Yes, you
including you. And look, I want to, I want to talk about the fact that, because right now, I don't know, man. I think this is going to have much more of an economic impact than 08 and 09 did. And there are people right now that are freaking out that don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. And back when, in 08, 09, I had been doing things a certain way, and man, we had to shift gears. We had to reinvent. We had to do a lot of, and sounds like you went through the same thing.
Yeah. Let me ask you something, Ken. Do you feel after going through 08 and having to reinvent, retool, rethink, retrain, would you rather be the Ken before 08 or the Ken after 08?
Right. Exactly.
So it's not comfortable. It's not a pretty process to go through right now. But I would much rather be me now than me, in 06, 07.
Yeah. I think that people are going to, and it's part of the it's like when you lose a loved one. I mean, you go through all the different stages of grief, and right now the world is like freaking out a little bit. A lot of people are. For me, I mean, honestly, I have never been busier than I am right now. Never. Like, it's insane for me. Yeah. And so, and I don't know that that's the case for everybody, but I do know that we all have an opportunity to reinvent. There's a way to make money, always a way to make money. And a lot of it's going to be in platforms like this, where you're going to have to learn how to use digital. I mean, it's the bottom line. I mean, you saw me on with Glenn Morshower, the actor from 24 and the Resident, and he's a really, really good friend of mine now. And Bob Donnell introduced us. But this guy, I helped him take his entire business because he owns an acting school, right? And he's like, he's used to showing up on Mondays and Tuesdays and having all these people converge on Dallas for his acting classes. He's virtual now.
Yeah.
And I helped him get there. I trained him on how to do all that. So,
and he wouldn't have been forced to do that. He wouldn't have done that if he'd not been forced to do that. And now, because it's a digital platform, it's so much larger than so much larger than what we could have done before.
Yeah. And it's just absolutely amazing when and I said this on a somebody's stream the other day. I said, look, let go of what you think you know about who you are, and you'll become who you're supposed to be. And I had to do it, man. In 08, 09, I mean, we ended up losing a house and fought for 5 years to keep this thing. And I mean, you can't fight Wells Fargo. They're $85 billion the government gave them. I was like, hey, could we just get like 300 grand? That's it. I don't need any more than that.
Yeah,
just 300.
Like, no,
they wouldn't do it. So, but you go through these things in life, and it ends up making you stronger, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like doing push-ups. It makes you stronger eventually. It sucks when you're doing them, especially if it's been a while since you've done them. But when you get through this, it brings you out on the other side. So you in the midst of all that, you shifted gears from construction into marketing. You're doing the text me lead. Sounds like it's going really well.
It is. We're having we have a lot of fun with this one. It's a way. I have always told our so we have a property management company also with construction. Through our construction business, we have a property management company, and every time I've had a new tenant come on board, I have explained to them that, look, here's what sets me apart. Our location sets itself apart because of where it's at.
Right.
But you've had a landlord before, and this is what sets me apart from your other landlords. You get me as a private coach, a silent partner in your business. I am here to make sure that you succeed, because it's easier for me to coach you, to help you to feed into your company than it is for me to re-rent this thing if you go south. So in talking to those tenants about being a partner with them, we're doing that also with Text Me Leads.
Wow.
It's so much fun to coach some of these young speakers that are coming up, seasoned speakers that are having to shift and pivot, and explaining to brick and mortar companies how they can actually have a digital presence and push notifications out to their clients instead of just doing the traditional ads and the traditional marketing and it being passive and waiting for the client to take action. You're actually able to ping them, disrupt their day by activating their phone and saying, hey, come on down.
Right. So you, I think, again, people get stuck and they become paralyzed. And you've seen it. I've seen it. What do you think? I mean, obviously, the number one answer to this question is fear, but I think it can go deeper than that. What do you think the number one thing is that keeps people stuck in life?
The obvious answer, you already said it. It's fear. It's fear of that unknown.
Right.
But I think to get over some of that is having the right people around you. And we've heard about having the coaches, we've had the right mentors, the right teams that you put around you. But sometimes those people aren't physically available to associate with. And this, going back to what we were just saying, I think these digital platforms are really, really going to change who we're able to connect with. And yeah, Christopher's right. Their beliefs can absolutely hold them back. But if we think about it, their beliefs are based on what they've heard, seen, and done and experienced. What I'm not able to do myself, more often than not, is because it has not been. I have not seen the example set in front of me. I've not seen somebody else do it, and until you see somebody else do it in your head, you don't really think that it's possible yet. So that's why having those mentors, those coaches, those people that you look up to and aspire to be, having them around you that not only say yes you can, but this is how you do it, and all you got to do is just take that next step. So I don't know if that's I don't want to be trite or simplify it too much, but did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. It did. Let me ask you this, and we kind of talked about this. I mean, you grew up with a good example of being an entrepreneur, of, I'm sure, an incredibly strong work ethic with your parents. I don't know if that's privileged. I mean, Donald Trump's kids have grown up privileged, but I'm sure you didn't want for a lot as a kid, but like the people out here that didn't have that example growing up. I didn't have that example. I didn't have the example of being an entrepreneur, but I've had it in my blood for some reason. I have no idea why. Probably just because I hate authority and I'm not employable as a result. So, but like when you look at, like for example, and I've told this story before that that I had a car repossessed in front of a bunch of employees one day. And that was a terribly bad day. It was really, really bad.
Yeah.
And I really at that moment felt like the entire world was crumbling. And that was in like 2010, maybe 2009, 2010. What do you say to somebody if they called you up and they said, man, my car was just repoed. My electric's getting shut off tomorrow. I don't know which way to turn. I'm stuck at home. I'm not allowed to leave. I can't go look for a job. I can't do anything. What do you say to that person to help them in that moment get through that, get to the next, to the next moment?
There's a lot wrapped up in that. I guess what would first, I would just say stop and breathe and just kind of get yourself on some solid ground right now, because you probably feel like you're in a sinking ship, that you don't feel like there's a way out and you can't even see the next step to take. And if you could, you might, are you fearful of taking the step? And if it's too big of a step, what I've always tried to remember myself and tell others is don't ever make a big decision in a valley. So if you're in that position, it's like, all I can think of, Ken, is like, well, who do you know? Who can you talk to? And if I'm that person that you want to talk to about it, then fine, let's have that conversation. I think when we show up for other people in their time of need is our ultimate calling, and it's a way for all of us to be a mentor, a coach, and that hand up. And sometimes it's not always just a hand up, because I think a lot of us know we can do it. They just need somebody to sit with us. And there's a practice called sitting Shiva with somebody who's lost a loved one, or just there's no words to say. There's nothing you can do when tragedy hits, or you're at rock bottom. You just have to sometimes sit with somebody and say, look, you're not alone in this. I got you. Right. I might be going through it as well, but let's not dig a hole that's deeper than we need to. And then let a little bit of time pass and then say, okay, well, let's take inventory. What do we actually have to work with?
Right.
What do you have in assets? What do you have in abilities? Who do you know? Let's go do something together. Let's, what's the next best step that you can make? So, like I said, you had a lot wrapped up in that question, and again, did I answer that for you?
Yeah, of course, dude.
I think being there for people, I don't think.
What's that?
I think being there for people is the main thing right now. I don't know that we all have the answer. None of us really have the next answer, but
the reality is, Doug, you and I would, like, there are people starving, suffering, and look, if you live in the United States, there's no reason for that. There's not. I know a couple of my neighbors, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that if my family and I got into a position where like we couldn't eat, or I know I could go to the neighbors. I know that I could. I know that there's some family member that I could say, hey, my kids haven't eaten, we haven't eaten, or it's, and I know that I could get help. I know that the government will step in. I've never gone for government help ever in my life, but and I'm not, that's no dig on anyone that has. I'm just saying I haven't. It's a pride thing for me. Trust me, there's been times where I definitely qualified.
But Ken, in that context, you and I both have family resources networks that we can reach out to first.
Right.
Not everybody has the families that we have, the friends that we have, the connections that we have.
Right.
To be able to ask for help in a time of need.
Right.
And that's when I think some of those projects, organizations, groups are absolutely valuable.
Yep. Churches.
Yeah.
I mean, right now is a good time to get closer to God for sure.
Yeah. A lot of people are.
Yeah, definitely. And that's maybe by design. So, look, dude, I think you're a great guy. You and I have had some amazing conversations on the phone. How long, was it Joe Ingram that introduced us?
Eric Swanson.
Oh, Eric Swanson. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Eric. And, we've had some great conversations. You're a great dude. What parting words of wisdom would you leave with everyone that this is a very volatile state that we're in as a world? What would you say just to motivate people to get them to see a brighter future?
It depends on where they're at. So I'd say if they're really in a bad spot and everything really around them is falling apart, they've got family members who may be sick, themselves who may be sick, finances that are falling apart completely. Just sit, give yourself a little bit of space. Think about not what you need to do next, but who do you know that you might be able to reach out to. I mean, absolutely pray. I think knowing that you've got not only others to lean on, but you've got a creator to lean on and to literally say, look, this is, where I'm at. I really don't have the words to ask right now, but I need help. And then just sit with it for a little bit. Look for the next opportunity. Look for that next answer, because often it's actually coming. We just don't sometimes like the answer, and so we reject it when it shows up.
Right.
If you're just struggling and not knowing where things are at, but you're financially stable, the health is stable, and the family's stable, what can you do to help somebody else? I've seen so often that when in a low point in your life, if you step up and help somebody else, it actually pulls you up at the same time. So maybe it's not how we help ourselves and fix our own problems, but look for somebody else who's worse off than you are, and give them the hand up that you're asking for as well. Yeah,
I agree, man. I think we're going to see a lot of really cool things happen as a result of this ginormous hiccup.
I do too. I've had my ups and downs with this whole thing as well, but in the last week, I've had my spirits have been really pumped up with this. Not really excited about everybody going through this. It's not comfortable, and I have definitely have empathy for those that are in tough situations. But it's encouraging to see what's happening. If I could share one quick story with you.
Please.
One of the other projects that we have is a not-for-profit foundation that my wife and I started in 2006 when we were on a mission trip in Roatan, Honduras. Early last week, we were contacted. We're still in contact with them. We still do projects down there. We were contacted by the governor of the Bay Islands. They asked for us to help facilitate donations coming into the islands through a 501c3 to help out their organizations with medical supplies, food, formula, diapers, everything that they're needing. And because of the island situation, which I wasn't completely aware that this was a need, but they're actually in need of water as well. So we launched the site late last week. Over the weekend, we had over 4 up, and yesterday morning we were notified that we had
I'm sorry, you froze up there for a second. The internet had a little hiccup. And I want to point that out. Like right now, there are so many like people having issues with the internet. There's 7.5 billion people trying to get on all at once.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So what you said over the weekend, you had what?
So we had over $4,000 just donated over the weekend from different individuals who wanted to step up and help this community down there. As of yesterday morning, we had an individual contact us and offered up $100,000 in matching donations. So we're now able to take that and help any new donations. Actually, the existing donations that came in are going to be eligible for this as well. But any of the donations that we get coming in organically are going to be matched now, dollar for dollar, up to $100,000.
Wow!
So it's amazing to see what they're doing. Some of the other groups that we've talked with, there are organizations that are donating into organizations that are creating a food fund to buy the food from the local restaurants and take it down to the hospitals to feed the medical workers who can't, I don't think their kitchens can keep up with the demand. And so they're delivering food and it's just being purchased for them. And there's so many people that are stepping up. And there's so many people that are doing it in really, really creative ways right now.
That's through good things always come out of tragedies. It's just the way that it works. And I think that, like you, a lot of people are going, I'm a little bit lost right now. So what can I do? Well, what I can do is I can go out and make a difference. I can go out and help somebody else.
Yeah, and so that goes back to what I was saying before. You may not, you may be in a situation where you can help somebody else.
Right.
You may not know because of the social distancing thing. You may not know what you can physically do to help somebody.
Right.
But let's get creative. I mean, there's a lot that we're able to do, just digitally. A conversation like this, where we're able to have. Make people aware of what's going on somewhere else.
Yeah.
And, ways that people can step up and help out. And it's not just a money thing for the donation. We may have somebody that's listening that's has an idea that I've got some really creative ways of maybe helping out as well. They are, this community, I'll finish with this. They are looking for their respirators and whatnot.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get connections into the Dyson vacuum organization because they've got some a donation portion of their company that they're making some of these respirators available. So if anybody's got access there, I know everybody's looking for this type of a product, but you just ask, and maybe somebody knows somebody.
Maybe somebody knows somebody at the Dyson Corporation that can connect with you and the whole group. The Make It Count Foundation.org. That's your organization that you've helped put together, right?
My wife and I, yeah.
That's incredible, man.
You should have had this whole interview with my wife. She's so much more interesting.
Oh, geez. Come on, man. TextMeLeads.com is your company. That's your business. Everybody should definitely check that out. Dude, you rock. Doug, I appreciate you coming on. I told you the very first time I talked to you. It's really weird I wanted to talk to you the other day, so I told Siri to call Doug Walz, and she called my brother. I'm like, come on, Siri, not that Doug Walz. She didn't even ask me which one.
You have to list me as the Doug Walz.
Yeah, right. That's funny, dude. Man, thank you. I appreciate you coming on, sharing your story, your experience, your strength, your hope. You rock. Everybody, make sure you go follow Doug Walz, WALZ. Go to textmeleads.com. Check him out. The Make It Count Foundation.org if you would like to help out. If you know anybody at the Dyson Corporation or know how to connect some dots there for Doug and his wife in this organization, that would be awesome. Doug, thanks again. I appreciate you coming on, and have an awesome day. Thank you.
And thank you. I appreciate the opportunity, and just you've created an awesome platform for a lot of people here. Thank you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. And thank you to everyone who shared this out and watched and hung out with us. That was awesome. So we will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks a lot, Doug. Don't hang up on me yet.
Alrighty. Yeah.
See you guys later.